Following all his videos. I'm strictly following all his recordings and the information that he's giving on cloud services, Scrum, and all that stuff. It's really wonderful. And in fact, Mofik, that you mentioned that you work for Capgemini. In fact, I was with Capgemini as well for till last September with KPMG. So there is a little connect there where I watch all of your statements and recordings that you post generally. Hello.
I don't know if he froze. I know he's been having some connection issues, so he may have frozen. Let's see.
Yeah, seems like he's got stuck there.
Oh, here, I'll go ahead and let these other people in real quick. Moafa, can you hear us? Here, let me send him a message and see if I can let him know that he froze. Hey, everyone, for who's just entering, MK has frozen, and I'm going to message him real quick before we continue. We'll see if he can come on without his camera, or perhaps just call in just for the audio. So let me wait for his response. In the meantime, if anyone has any just general non-content related questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those while we wait for Muafek to get resettled. Okay, looks like he's trying to connect by his there he is.
Yep, he's back.
I see you, but I don't hear you, MK.
He's on mute. Mofik, you're on mute.
I was trying to see if I could unmute him myself. Oh, we still can't hear you. No, oh no. Now you're muted.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, finally, I can hear and talk.
All right. Did you need Sai to repeat anything of what he said to respond to it, or were you ready to respond to him?
I prefer if Sai tell me the situation that he's having again, because I've been shut down for 2 minutes now.
Okay, I was just saying that I was literally going through all your videos that you've been posting on Scrum and cloud services and strictly following and going through the information. As of now, I don't have any questions, but I'm in sync with you.
Okay.
So for our other participants in here, really right now, since we have low numbers, this is just open space for you to ask any questions, whether it's about the current module or the upcoming final capstone deliverable, anything that you'd like to bring up and ask of MK, please feel free to do so. You can either add it to the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, so Mofik, I do have one question though, because as I was going through, is any of this particular site that we are working on, that is where the module information and all the course information that we have the dashboard on, does any of AI is implemented in this, where you see course syllabus, progress dates, and all that?
You mean about this program? Do you actually build an AI product using, like, from a technical perspective?
Means currently we are tracking our schedule, our courses, our progress in a dashboard, which is like, let me tell you, this is course.MIT and MIT SAP Sloan, that site. Does any of the analysis or the graph that we produce, does it using any AI in it?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I know that Reef have AI built-in features, and those AI built-in features are used like to track down your interaction, especially when you have a video meeting. You see the mediator on the top left corner. That is AI powered feature, and it helps. So some people, when they are having a meeting, they will dominate. They will like have more talking time. So for at least for Riff, the built-in feature will try to lower down their voices, try to engage more of other people on the meet. It's seamless for you. It looks like Microsoft Teams, for example, but for Riff, it's a little bit different. It drives engagement. But for the rest, maybe Kathy can know about it.
Yeah, so for the online learning campus where all the modules are, which is hosted through edX, no, that doesn't have an AI component to it, just the Riff meeting metrics as Muafak described.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But if, say, you want to design something by yourself, the big challenge will be to have consent from the people that are using those platforms. You can design it for your own work setting,
Right.
but like once they have signed the contract to join your company, for example, or something similar, it needs to be, you need to tell them that we are tracking that data to drive their engagement within the company. But it's not something easy to do if you are in Europe or the USA. The regulations are really tough.
Yes.
What you can do is like for each meeting, like if you ask for their consent, basically, and you collect the data and you ensure like the communication is the key part. You need to tell them that data will be analyzed in anonymous way. We are not targeting a specific person. So let's say we have like an employee called Sami, and you have the data of Sami. You will not target Sami in itself.
Got it.
Or you have an employee, she's Christine. You are not targeting Christine as a person. No, you will collect like hundreds and thousands of employees' data, and you analyze them in a batch.
Yep.
So there is no pointing out a specific person in that, and it's completely anonymous. So the key to implement that within an organization
will be the GDPR compliance. Yes, completely agree with you.
Even for the GDPR, if you read those regulations, some of them are unrealistic, and most big tech companies do not really go by them. There is always a workaround, which is logical. For example, for me, I use Facebook. I know Facebook violates a lot of privacy regulations, but some of them does not make sense even to say they are violating those, because I'm aware they are taking my data, because I prefer they have my data and they give me a tailored recommendation. This is something I struggle with YouTube recommendation. For example, I give them consent to track down my history, and they still recommend me things who are not my concern, and they are so repetitive. So big tech companies are saying they are respecting those GDPR rules, but the people are making those regulations are not tech savvy people. They are just politicians and trying to please the people, and the people, like, you know, in general, they do not know what really how the data is really processed. And there is nobody is single pointed, hey, you are doing this. And things, it can be a blurry vision in here. Why? Because these topics are really big topics, but you can make a comparison. For example, in China, they are tracking down every single movement, and they single out individuals as individuals. If you do something wrong and the cameras are following you, their cameras are AI powered, you will be tracked down as a person, and you will be followed like with a lawsuit, for example.
Yes, they're profiling based on your activities that you perform both on.
They are profiling the activities, yeah, on an individual level. Big tech in the US, I'm not saying they are angels, actually they are not, but big tech in the US, they are profiling the mass. not
Yes.
the individuals. This is
Right.
like the big comparison. Chinese products are violating GDPR in a severe way. Big tech, they're trying to play nice, but sometimes it limits how they can do things. It's not always harmful and bad. It's your decision. For example, for me as a user, I never use Instagram. It's not for me. I never use TikTok. It's not for me. I chose not to use those platforms. So
Agree.
you need to address like employees inside a company as people with free will, because you have the free will not to use those kind of products. I chose not to use them. They did not force me. If they think, like people in general, they think they are forced to do that, that's the lie they tell themselves. I'm not biased like toward like big tech or anything. I think they still like violate some of our rights, but to project this into your own startup or your own organization, you need to have this specific conversation with your colleagues, with your employees, with your
Right.
partners, and tell them this is like to drive up communication, to make things more automated in an intelligent way. This is the
Right. And
discussion that needs to be done
right.
one-on-one and in groups.
Mofik, you froze again. Oh, sorry. So what you said is totally true. What you said is totally true. In fact, NetNet, for even AI to work on or any predictive analytics that need to perform, NetNet, all you need is data. And the data, the content is what plays the major role, right? So they are trying at most whichever possible way to collect this information so that they can fine tune their models and their algorithms accordingly. And even example, let's take Zoom itself. We are using Zoom, and there are some organizations where they are restricting Zoom because Zoom itself collect a lot of data. Capgemini doesn't allow Zoom. You know that, right?
I'm actually sitting in Capgemini's office and using my personal phone, but I'm using their SIM card for this conversation.
So I was with Cap too, so I know that's the reason I was specifically calling out that.
Yeah, they need to comply with a lot of GDPR issues. And like I said, for me, is some mindless politicians trying to protect us without really understanding the technology behind it.
So definitely one thing which I want to ask you, Mofik, is maybe I would have gone through some studies on ethics and compliance specifically to AI. Maybe a little earlier version of the deck in LinkedIn course, but what's the current state of the compliance and regulations specific to AI? How formulated they are rather than being more generic? Because based on my knowledge and the sessions that I've gone through, it seems like till date, we don't have any specific regulations on AI specific areas, right? For example, Microsoft launched a program which was similar like a Twitter kind of a functionality. And they removed that from the production within 48 hours because there was a gender bias variations, which were like all Black people were treated as one profession only. So that was one of the issue that therefore, so they had to take it out of the production and it's never launched again. So what is the current state of ethics and compliance on AI? I definitely understand because NetNet for the leadership, these ethics and compliance are going to be much more crucial in the activities that they're going to perform down the line, right?
Actually, it is. And one of the biggest institutions that started that is IEEE, International Electric and Electronic Engineering, something like that. I was part of it, but like the abbreviation, I never get it straight. So they started with the ethics, and it was involved about AI. This is a nonprofit organization. It's the biggest nonprofit engineering organization, and they are trying to make pilot projects about how to protect our privacy and protect our human side against the products that the AI products we are producing. I know there are Google have actually fired many whistleblowers. They are saying that their system is tracking down everything, and they have fired them. And in the US, there was big protests, even in Silicon Valley. It's like the last place to expect people to protest, and nothing happened. So I'm gonna contradict myself. Like I said, like big tech, it's not that bad when it comes to violating ethics and violating compliance things, but like every time a whistleblower comes out, they are telling a different story. And there are many executives in Google have resigned, and some of them were pressured and some of them were kicked out. So there is something alarming.
Yeah.
Except the people that are making the legislation, there is a discontinuity between them and between the scientists developing the AI products. So
Right.
for me, when I was watching Capitol hearing, there was Zuckerberg, there was Jeff Bezos, there was like the big tech CEOs. It was really ridiculous not to find any of the senators or any of the people asking those questions that are tech savvy. Most of them are really out of the technological scope. And you
Right.
can find those videos on YouTube. Based on that, I'm assuming that the legislation are not progressing. It's just like politicians are making us scared. That's what they do. Every time they make us scared of something, and it drives up their numbers. But do we have like a really reasonable legislations to protect the ethical parts like IEEE have done? No. And some of them, like I always go to the ethics established by IEEE. Even it looks good and it was done by scientists and engineers, it's not enforced.
Right.
This is a non-profit organization with engineers working for free to make those. I know you need to pay like a $32 subscription fee every year, but they still cannot enforce what their real engineers and scientists have done. So if we go to Europe, I think it's very similar to the US. And there is not much protection against those violations, but still in every field is a little bit different. Social media is a little bit different from e-commerce websites, and you need like a specific use case to be discussed, but in general you cannot like tackle all of those subjects at once, because the response is going to be different from each and every one of them. Even I, regarding this subject, I can give you some contradictory thoughts of mine, is because the industry where you apply these kind of concepts can be really different.
Right. So basically, net, based on whatever you said, implementing of AI in any area where you have a lot of compliance regulations that need to be followed will be a tougher situation, is what you said.
Yeah. I think regarding this point, it's going to be really tough on startups in the future, because they need to comply with too many things, and they do not have the budget to do that, and they do not have. They actually need to have like lawyers, data officers that need to cover those topics, and usually startups do not focus on those points, and it's going to be hard for them. They need like some help from governments to
Right.
overcome those challenges. For big well-established companies, it can give them a hit, but it's a short-term one. Now we are seeing the big problem happening between Facebook and Apple, and Apple don't want Facebook to track down every single thing.
Right.
And you can see, so Apple, it's not because Apple is good trying to protect their users, but they need they want to have the data
Control their data. Yeah.
for themselves. So you see, I can be with big tech, I can be against big tech. Sometimes it's contradictory, but like when you pick a specific subject, like for example, autopilot vehicles like Tesla.
Right.
They are collecting massive data, scary massive data. But at least Elon Musk is trying to make a conversation.
Yeah, but
Other big tech are not.
Yeah, but Elon Musk, it's not only the navigation data that he's getting, because the cameras are there in the car and they are active always. He is capturing every moment that they are having, like where they park, what kind of areas they are locating on. There are a lot of information that he's collecting as well, right? So again,
Exactly. See, I'm with Elon Musk, but when you give the argument, I'm against Elon Musk, you can't be decisive, because
right,
you can't say no to technology, because technology is like nature, is going to find its own way eventually.
right.
And you can't progress, you can't develop autonomy. So I'm with Elon Musk. When you give the argument, I'm against Elon Musk, because that your argument is valid. But I can be with Elon Musk again by saying, but how can you develop such autonomous vehicles without capturing
Data.
everything?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So net. So it's either social media or even the product specific area. Until unless you have all the background data to make a proper predictive modelings and algorithms, it's going to be tough. So net. Even that's what we are learning also in our course, is like data is core. The more data, the more accurate your algorithm is going to be, right?
Exactly. And in some countries, it will. So in China, the government and their supported startups and companies, they have no. I don't want this video to spread. I want to visit China, but no limitation. You can do whatever you want, capture wherever data you want.
Right.
But things I'm seeing are really scary.
That's true.
So
did you see the question come in from Vidya?
Oh no.
Okay, just wanted some expectations, clarification on the current Module 5 capstone and final project.
Okay, I will, because I'm on my phone with 4G.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
It's okay. I will open again my browser. Okay, Module 5. Yeah, Module 5, I think, is the most difficult one. And I made a long video this week about it. It's 8 minutes. Kathy, I think you have already posted it on the channel. It have all the details about Module 5. So the first question is, what are the process or tools you will use to make individuals aware of the consequences of their action? It's the discussion I had with Sai at the beginning. Like, you need to sit down individually with executives and managers, and then you need to sit down with groups to talk about the tools they are going to actually use. So if you are using cloud services, most cloud services are GDPR compliant, and in the US you have another thing, which I always forget the name. So most of them are compliant, and you can choose whatever regulations you want to go by. And then if your lead engineer or your manager or your exact managers does not go by the rules and does not respect that or forget, it's a human error, they will assume the consequences. And for me, I don't see the team assuming the consequences, because the team is operating under a specific somebody. But you can always be a whistleblower. If you are against those practices, you should raise the flag. That's just one example. Always remember that you have different use cases and you need to apply what you learn on your specific use case. Second question is, what data will be collected? Also, I have answered that numerous times. How will you ensure that the tool and implementation comply with the relevant privacy regulation? You need, if you are in a big company, you definitely need a compliance department and a data officer that will show you what and what not to do. But for engineers watching this video, there is always a workaround around your regulations. How will you ensure that your AI solution complies with ethical, security and privacy standards? This is like for leaders. They need to be in contact with the data officer, and they need to oversee the day-to-day progress of the AI models. Because you can have like a manager that can tell an engineer, hey, you can do that, and we can hide that feature. So if you don't check up regularly on your team, they can hide features that will give the manager great model that can sell for the executive team, and he will look brilliant. But then if you are a big company and there is like thousands or millions of people using your product, eventually some journalist or some lawyer will figure out that that was a hidden feature. It's like the Volkswagen scandal with the CO2 emission. I know it's not AI, but the software was canceling the CO2 emissions, and there was a big scandal. Eventually, nothing happened to Volkswagen, just a small bump on their pocket. But this is the things you need to expect if they find out that the leader did not oversee the whole process, the end-to-end machine learning development of the product. That was for Model 5. Model 6. Model 6 is a funny model because it summarizes everything you have learned. In Model 6, I don't think there is very specific questions to the content, but the questions are more about the whole program itself. So in Model 6, you have like some kind of blueprint for the whole program and things that you have learned. You need to have even the wording. The wording in Model 6 is very long. It's like almost 2,000, 400, 700, 900, 1,200, 1,500 words. It's like putting a blueprint of all what you have learned. You can, in Model 6, sometimes you need to go back to previous models. And it talks about stakeholders, which is in the first models, regulatory compliance, which was in the mid-program. Yeah. What I will do for Model 6 is to have between 6 and 10 minutes video tutorial on the questions, and it's going to be in details. But it's going to be a very long assignment compared to others, but it's not difficult. You need to synthesize what you have learned and put it together into one assignment. It's long, but easy. I hope that answered a little bit your question. If it's not in Model 6, I will post a little bit long video about the assignment.
No, that was very helpful, both for 5 and 6. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MK. Real quick, Andres, did you have a question at all before Moafik signs off?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. So originally we had, let me turn my camera back on. We were set up to do a networking session after with the 3 of you. I don't know if you're all available to go into a breakout room and interact with each other. I'm happy to do that, but if everyone needs to drop off, that's fine as well. So just let me know what you'd like to do, and we'll either proceed with the breakout room or I can close the session.
I have to drop off. This is
Okay.
Vidya. I have to drop off for a meeting at work. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, just one question before we sign off. I know Moafik had mentioned that there was a video that was posted. I know I saw one on cloud services, but was there one on Capstone project number 5? Is there something there, or?
Yeah,
did I
so
miss that? Okay.
as he mentioned that, I realized that it hadn't been released to me yet, and I just went and found it and just posted it in the Module 5 forum, and then I'll
Perfect.
also
Okay.
post it in the announcements channel as well. So I apologize. Normally we try to get those out on Wednesdays as the module opens, but it is in the Module 5 forum and RIF right now.
Okay, perfect. No, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
worries.
Yeah.
So Sai and Andres, did you want to join each other in a breakout session, or are you both good? Do you need to sign off?
I have to sign off, Katie,
Okay.
because I have to get back to my work meetings as well.
No worries at all. Thank you for being here. And I do apologize that we had to shift the time and that this one wasn't as well advertised, but thank you for making the time to be here. Again, if you have any questions, you can always mention either MK or Vish in any of the public channels, and then whoever is your assigned learning facilitator in your Capstone group channel, reach out to them anytime with questions on the Capstone deliverables or any of the module content.
Sure, Katie. Thanks a lot, Katie and Moffitt.
All right.
And
Thank you all for being here. Everyone have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
as well. Thank you both.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.